So, this is a response to Awesomedude's claim of gravity. So, I'm going to show why he's using a false example for gravity, which was derived by Newton, of course. And in Newton's biography, right, we learn about the apple. So, this is the apple story, right? So, after dinner, the weather being warm, we went into the garden and drank tea under the shade of the apple trees. He told me he was just in the same situation, and when formally the notion of gravitation came into his mind, it was occasioned by the fall of an apple as he sat in a contemplative mood. Why should that apple always descend perpendicularly to the ground? Thought he thought to himself. So this is a story, right? And of course, we're going to get into why this is false. I don't understand why Newton didn't logically deduce that each of the chambers contain one or two seeds in the apple. So an apple is a part of the tree's reproductive system. Um, so its downwards vector is determined by its organic function. So the organic function of the apple is part of its reproductive system. I don't know if Newton just didn't eat into the apple and see that. Um, so I mean, it's not just an object. So he's treating an apple as if it's just a piece of metal or something. Um, Another example, uh, he also didn't logically deduce that reproduction favors an upward vector for mammals. Most mammals and reptiles on the planet are quadruped. I can't pronounce that. Quadrupedous. They walk on four legs or two legs. Um, you know, Not all of them walk completely upright. However, the reproduction favors these vectors. So that means that the seed, right, goes in these directions for reproduction. So it doesn't go down in a downwards vector like this for the apple. And I'm just talking about the seed itself, not the direction that the blossom goes in. So it's just the seed itself travels in these vectors for its reproduction system. These are actual objects in reality. So you might be thinking, right, what about like these non-organic objects like rocks or like the balls of metal, right, in a vacuum? I mean, he cited some study about two balls being dropped. Well, we can take an example of gold, right? So gold is a non-organic material, but throughout the history of the planet, um, miners have extracted, I found this out, 201,000 tons of gold, and there's only about 53,000 tons left. This is true. I grew up near the mountains, and it was said that this is in Colorado, for example, all of the gold in the rivers, most of it's been mined out already. And inside of the mountains, most of it's been mined out of the surface. So this non-organic material has its vert vector of up. So how can that be, right? Well, it's determined by an organic vector. So an organism is determining its vector, even though it's supposed to have been going down in a downwards vector because of the supposed um, gravity and density of the Earth. So if the Earth is dense, all the material is supposed to be going towards the center of density, the center of the Earth. However, its actual vector in real life over the course of hundreds of years in our history that we know is actually in an upwards vector from the Earth to the surface and carried around by organic beings. Another example, right, would be like the rock falling off. So how can one argue that's an organic vector, right? But if you look, It's called weathering. So this right here, this is called weathering. So when a rock breaks off of a mountain and falls, right? So it's falling in a downwards vector. However, water is causing this. So water is an organic material. So it's synonymous with life itself. Yes, it has its own chemical compound, um, and you can't say that that's the non-organic material because my blood, right? We all have blood. That's an organic material. That's only found in organisms. So water is an organic material. It's synonymous with life itself. If it's not right, then why are we looking for it on other planets? So we know that life and water go hand in hand, and that's why they're looking for it elsewhere. So this is what water does as an organic function. Water enters a crack in a rock. Water freezes and expands, widening the crack. Ice melts, water goes deeper into the crack, and then the process repeats, the rock splits. So the water enters, so it could be pipes in your house, it could be anywhere. It freezes in the winter if it's still there. Then it expands and it will break open a material like rocks. It's that powerful. So this here, right? The reason why all of the snow is there is because the clouds, right? It rains, okay, but because it's cold, it freezes when it hits, but the water is still able to go inside of the rock. So over time, okay, the water will expand and it will cause this to happen. Okay. And this can also cause, avalanches, things like this. So this is just a short um hit on gravity. It's just it's to me it's an organic uh function, right? So we see organic things happening and we're thinking that it's just this thing called gravity, right? But really most things are organic and it's causing these vectors to occur. So this whole notion that it's just some kind of force coming from nowhere is just silly. I don't know how Newton didn't logically deduce, right, that this was true. I mean, maybe he did, and he's just, I don't know, wanted to come up with something new, I guess. But you can take a look at this stuff for yourself, man. It's called weathering. Um, Objects, not just gold, but other materials that we know, it just travels in an upwards vector. Um, yeah, just this is why, this whole gravity thing is just not even true. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.